What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the video. Today I gotta admit something, guys. As you can see, I have a problem, and my problem is I like to collect Lord of the Rings movies a lot, multiple times, because, well, why not? So in today's video I'm going to be breaking down all of these Blu-rays and 4Ks, different collections, all the way from the the standard ones you can pick up to the more premium versions, to the best version you can effectively get for these movies. If you guys enjoy this video, want to see more like this, please make sure to like, subscribe, and of course, if you are planning on picking up any of these anyways, please use the link below. It helps out the channel. I definitely appreciate it. Now, with that said, guys, I will leave timestamps at the bottom of your screen for each one of these editions. So I'll leave one for this one for this one for this one, and one for this one. So if you don't really care about one, you want to kind of switch around, you can. Also, I just wanted to mention, if you are like a physical media collector, there is a Facebook group that I'm part of that covers a bunch of like 4K and Blu-ray, and sometimes they do DVDs. But if you are a physical media collector, they are always on top of like the best deals, mostly on Amazon, but like just honestly, deals are great. I'll leave a link to that Facebook group down below. Make sure to definitely join. It's awesome. Now, with that said, I'm just going to jump into the oldest one of the entire collection here. And so I'm going to move some of these back a little further. I don't know how much room I'm going to need. Hopefully these things don't fall off my little table here. Okay, so with that said, let us jump into the first edition, the first Blu-ray edition I had, the original collector's edition for the extended versions of the Blu-ray. So let's jump into this. Okay, so before the 4Ks actually came out, this was effectively the best edition you could get that didn't cost a lot of money, like this bad boy back here. We'll get to this one, of course, but for right now, let's focus on this bad boy. So this actually was a pretty cool like magnet opening that kind of showed you a little bit of a map of Middle Earth. If you want to check out any of these things for yourself, to kind of look at like the fine print, the maps, anything like that, I'll try to get them in focus so you can just pause the video at any moment and check them out. One of the best things about this edition, though, a lot of collector's editions, not just for like Lord of the Rings, but like a lot of like Star Wars and just other franchises, whenever they do collector's editions, they would effectively just repackage the original covers. For example, I actually have the Hunger Games collections here, and as you can see, they are all just like the basic standard releases, but I actually bought all of these as part of a collection, and they got sent to me in standard, basic Blu-ray cover art. So it's not actually like a collector's edition, because they all just look like standard cover art. But the thing I liked about this box was not only did it look awesome on the outside, you had the whole spine here, you can put that on your shelf, it looks great, cool little insignia on the back. I like that it actually looks like it could be a book in the Middle Earth universe. But the actual cases themselves for all of the movies looked awesome. So I'm gonna go through each one of these one at a time. Let me pull them out here. It's pretty cool too. They kind of sit in there like a little cubby. And the best thing about this was they were always protected, so you don't have to worry about them getting like broken or whatever. So let me just move this stuff out of the way here. Okay, so we're gonna put this back here so it's kind of still in the shot. Yep, looks good. And we're gonna start with Fellowship of the Ring. I'll try to get it on here so it's not too shiny because of my lights or whatever. But here you go. This just looks super cool. You get all your main characters on here. Looks great. Let me see if I get this focused quick. My light doesn't interfere with it. Hopefully you can read that. This should be uploaded into 4K, so you should be able to. But if you can't, I'm sure you can find a picture of this on Google somewhere. There's the spine. As you can see, it actually has the Fellowship logo on it. And one of the coolest things also about this collection is that it also continues running with the themes the original collector's editions on DVD came out with. So if you remember the original collector's edition, the Fellowship one was green, the Two Towers was red, and then the Return of the King was blue. And so these also have them part of their trim right here. So you can see there's actually a green trim right there. I hope it kind of shows up on my camera with the lights and stuff like that. But you can see there's kind of like a green trim. And then if you look at the Two Towers, there's the red trim. So it's cool that they kept with that theme. So even if, let's say, you wanted to keep your old DVD collection, which I don't actually have, I am considering picking them up, even though I'm not going to watch them. It would be cool to actually have those as part of my collection. But the point I'm making is that if you wanted to effectively keep your collections color-coded, with like the Fellowship with Fellowship, Two Towers with Two Towers, Return of the King with Return of the King, stuff like that, you can do that, and it'll actually look pretty cool, so I like that. Okay, so we open up the Fellowship here. Once open. Okay, you got all your discs here. So you have your extended version part 1, extended version part 2, the appendices part 1, and then this looks like part 2 from visual. Okay, another one of these like behind the scenes. It's more behind the scenes stuff. So I actually do like these editions. Now, the reason why a lot of people don't like the new 4K editions is because they don't come with all the bonus features, and there's hours and hours and hours of bonus features on this. So if you were going to pick up an edition and you wanted the 4K set and you wanted all the behind the scenes and all that stuff, you would effectively have to buy like the 4K and buy this collection. Now luckily this collection now is pretty cheap. I think it's like $30. I think it's like that. I don't want to get your hopes up. Some people really haven't made the jump to 4K yet, so this actually might be the perfect addition for a lot of Blu-ray collectors. So Two Towers, we have our main characters there, as you can see. Here's the back. Let me get a good shot of that quick. Should be nice and focused. You can read that if you wish. Here's the back Two Towers. I don't know if you can see that, but it's effectively the same as the Fellowship. And over here, you got more reading materials, a little extra information stuff, and of course, pretty much the exact same layout as the Fellowship had. But yeah, that's great. And of course, the big boy, Return of the King. And once again, you have all your characters on the front. Looks awesome. Here's the back if you want to read it. Focus on that. Okay. And then of course you have the Return of the King spine. And then inside is the same paperwork. And of course you have 2 Blu-ray discs and all of the extra bonus features, which for a lot of Lord of the Rings collectors are a must. Now for me, I always had some type of Lord of the Rings collection. Like before I had this one, I did have a DVD collection of them, and then when I got this collection, I actually sold the DVDs because it had the bonus features. But there are a lot of people out there who will not buy Lord of the Rings collections unless they have the bonus features. It doesn't matter how high quality the transfer is. For a lot of people, the big selling point for Lord of the Rings isn't just the movies, it's the behind the scenes. And that's fair. You know, I think that's a fair argument considering how much stuff they have in the bonus features. There's just so many hours, and it's great. So here's the collection all together. Like I said, there's the green, the red, and the blue. Looks great. Like I said, you can color code it with your old DVDs, and that is effectively the best Blu-ray collection that I would recommend if people were looking for Blu-rays. Now, like I said, if you're looking for 4Ks, well, we'll get to that. Now, one thing I did want to say is there is actually a Blu-ray Hobbit version of this as well, but it's not made as good. And there's the 4K Hobbits, which actually look a lot better with all the extra CGI they added into them. So I'd recommend actually picking up the 4K edition. So, like I said, if you have a PS5 or an Xbox Series X or any type of 4K Blu-ray, honestly, and unless you really want the bonus features, I would recommend actually picking up a 4K. Because the 4Ks, honestly, when I watched these for the first time, it is like watching the movies all over again. Because they kind of went back, they recolored a lot of the transfer, they did a lot of like changes that actually made like the CGI look even better. So like some of the CGI that looks more spotty on the Blu-rays actually look a lot better on the 4Ks. So that's something you might want to consider. Like I said, if you still have a Blu-ray player and you're okay with Blu-rays, then I definitely recommend picking up this option. However, if you do want the highest quality versions of these movies, it's going to be this. Now, if you want the best of both worlds, you want the highest quality 4Ks, and you also want the extra bonus features, then honestly, just pick up both of these. Together, they probably cost like $100. You can probably find them like 50 for one, 50 for the other. I know it's $100, but it's Lord of the Rings, and if you want the best editions of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, effectively you have to pick up both, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. Now with that said, let's move the Blu-ray into the back. Let's get into the 4Ks. Here we have Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit 4Ks. Now, like I said, if you want the best quality as far as these movies go, especially when it comes to like the older CGI of the Lord of the Rings and some of the more unfinished looking CGI of the Hobbit, if you guys remember what I'm talking about, these transfers go a long way to fixing a lot of those issues And I would actually say, from my personal opinion, this is the best way to watch Lord of the Rings. If you can watch Lord of the Rings, this is the best way. Now, there are some issues with this transfer, but I would say with the fixing to a lot of the colors of the scenes and the brightness and effectively the HDR effect, as well as the actually going back and cleaning up some of the older looking CGI, go with this option, honestly. That's what I would say. Now, with that said, guys, let us jump into these. So let's start with the actual Lord of the Rings one. These are both going to be very similar. As you can tell, they're both from the same collection, effectively. I'll put this back here. It's the same thing as the slipcover, but here is the actual case itself. See if I can get this nice and focused. There's the front. There is the back. And here is the spine. So, looks pretty cool. Like I said, if you want to check out any of this stuff for yourself, make sure to pause the video or whatever. Now, this is the interesting part about these collections. So, right off the bat, see if my camera can catch these discs. They're a little harder to read than the other ones. Hey, I think it looks good. Okay, so you have the Fellowship. That is the extended version. Whoa, hey, where you going? Whoa, okay, so that is something you have to pay attention to when it comes to this collection. The discs aren't as stable. I don't know why they would make a collection like this, charge $60, and then put like crappy disc holders like this. So just be careful every time you open these things. There's an example. So this is the Fellowship theatrical, and then we have the Two Towers theatrical, the Return of the King theatrical, and now we get to the big boys. Now we have part 1 and part 2 of the extended versions. Oop, look at that, there goes another one. Then we have part 1 up. Oh my gosh, wow, these are really bad. Hold up. Wow. Okay, yeah, you got to be definitely careful with this. While I'd recommend quality-wise when it comes to the movies, this is great. The design flaws of the actual holders here, like, look at this. This should not be happening. Part 1 and part 2 of Two Towers, and part 1 and part 3 of Return of the King. So, like I said, if you noticed, there are absolutely no bonus features in this collection. Which, like I said, for me, I don't really think it's that big of a deal, but for some collectors, those need to be in them or they are worthless. So that is understandable, depending on where you're on that fence. Like I said, for me, quality-wise, it's great, but no extra bonus features. That's a big deal for some people, like I said. So move the Lord of the Rings back here. Now we're going to get into the Hobbit trilogy. So for me, little background while I show you guys what's going on. See, there's the slipcover for that. For me, when The Hobbit came out, I was very disappointed. Just because the Lord of the Rings movies were like a massive part of my childhood and they were so good, I felt like The Hobbit kind of dropped the ball in my opinion. But I will tell you this, as the years have gone on, I do think that these have become better movies, but I will ultimately say, if you're talking about which is better, Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, there's no comparison. These 4K transfers are not going to make The Hobbit as good as Lord of the Rings. That's just not going to happen. The 4K transfers on Extended Edition, excluding Desolation of Smaug, and I'll talk about that, are the best way to watch The Hobbit as well. Now, let's open this up. It's very similar to the last one. As you can see, we'll probably have a few discs we lose. Now, the one thing you will notice about this collection, so you can see there's a theatrical version, and then there's the extended version. So they actually are able to put the extended version on one disc instead of having to split it onto two discs, which is more convenient, makes the whole collection less bulky, I guess you can say. But, you know, if you're used to the disc 1 and disc 2, and maybe you have another collection you wanted to move these into, that might mess with you, but for most people that shouldn't bother anyone. Of course, we have Battle of Five Armies theatrical, and then Battle of Five Armies extended edition. Now, before we move on to the big boys, the big collections in the back here, I'm going to say this. If you want Blu-ray, you want the best versions of the Blu-rays you can get, this bad boy. If you want the standard version of the 4Ks, you don't need the extra collections like back here, then it's this one. You can't beat the prices. Sometimes you can find these bad boys for like $40. Like I said, this one you can sometimes find for 30. I have seen it for 50 though, so maybe it's because they don't make these anymore, so they're a little more rare, I guess you could say. For me, if you ever look at the background of my shelves, I think that it is time for people to give up on DVD. It is time to effectively embrace Blu-ray, and if not just embrace Blu-ray, time to move on to 4K. DVD is just not there anymore. And I think it is time for everyone to move on as far as collections go. That's just my opinion. I don't have any DVDs unless there is no Blu-ray or 4K versions of the DVDs. So with that said, that's just my personal opinion, but that's how I personally feel. Okay, so I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. And before we get to the big collection, what I want to tell you about this. This was the biggest Blu-ray collection you could get up until this 4K came out. This is just Blu-rays and DVDs, and this is harder to find, and it's always more expensive. Luckily for me, I managed to find a deal on this bad boy. But I was lucky. I managed to get this bad boy for $100. I managed to get this guy for $100. You usually can't find these for... You can find this one for less than $200, and you can barely find this one for less than $150 sometimes. So I got a good deal. You're probably not going to get that. But if it does pop up, grab it, because it's definitely an awesome collection. Now, before we jump into this big bad boy here, I will say this. The reason why I'm making this video is because of Rings of Power dropping soon. And I just think it's right to make a video. A lot of people, if you watched my channel for a long time, you would know that I was once a Star Wars YouTuber exclusively. But even though I love Star Wars, Lord of the Rings is the best trilogy in my opinion. Now, with that said, this is effectively the big bad collection now. The collection that to rule them all, you could say. There are some issues with this collection though for the price. For me, this is a great collection because the price I got, $100. But for some, especially people who bought this at retail, it came out for like $200, I think. You might be a little mad about this. So let's look at this. So one of the best things about this collection is the way to display them. So as you can see, you can display it like this, which is actually the way I display it on my bookcase. Or you can display it like this. So all of the movie spines are showing. Kind of be able to get a good glimpse of all the movies that are in there. You can display it like this, which is probably the less fun way to display it, but you could if you wanted to. If you wanted to kind of do like the opposite of book spines, you could do that. You could also display it like this. You get Frodo and Aragorn, you get more of the Lord of the Rings feel. You can display it like this, where you get more of the Hobbit feel. You can also display it like this, which is the back way of the original version I showed you, which shows, Lord of the Rings, and it has more of a Bilbo feel to it, I guess you could say. Looks great. And then you can also display it like this. I might have to back my camera up to get all this in the shot. No, it should be fine. So you can display it like this, which shows all the different movies, different aspects of them as it goes by. You can also display it like this, which is probably the most boring way to display it, but you could display it like that if you so chose to do so. That is probably the best part about this collection. The fact you can display it however you want. I think with all the faults this collection has, that is the one thing you cannot complain about, is how many ways to display this collection. You're effectively never going to find another collection that's going to be able to let you to do that. So depending on if you have more room on your shelf back here or you have less room, you can kind of pick how you want things to be shown, which is really cool. Especially, like I said, a lot of collections don't actually do that. Now that said, let's get into the movies themselves. Okay, let's start with the first one. So as you can see here, they're actually labeled in chronological order. So An Unexpected Journey, Desolation of Smaug, Battle of Five Armies, Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King. And then I want to say this is probably the bonus features. I actually haven't checked this one out myself, so we're going to be doing this together. First one, Unexpected Journey. If you want this art, you can actually pick these ones up in stores. So like I said about how some collections just sometimes will throw something standard in front, this isn't particularly standard, but you could make an argument like, oh, I can get this in the store. Why would I get the whole collection? So there is that. Actually, there's different things on the back and the slipcover. That's usually not a thing. Make sure to focus on that so you can read that if you want. Looks cool. And then we have the back here. Make sure to focus on that so you can read it as well. Okay. A lot of people love slipcovers. I don't necessarily care about them unless they come with a collector's edition type thing. So I will be keeping these. Okay, so what you're getting with this collection is you're actually getting a 4K transfer of the theatrical and the extended, and you're getting a Blu-ray theatrical and extended. So that's something. If you don't care about the Blu-rays and you wanted the 4K, you could effectively give your friends the Blu-rays, which is a really cool addition. A lot of movies do that, so that's cool. but I don't know if it's necessarily needed, but you know, that's cool, whatever. Slide this back in there. Okay, so one thing I'll say is while it's a little tough to pull these out, at least it feels solid. Like I don't feel like I'm actually going to rip these slip covers, which is nice. Comes out pretty nice and smooth, and then you get some pretty cool art right there, which I actually do like this one a lot. The small guy, that looks great. Wow. Let's look at the back. And like I said, if you want to read any of this, make sure to pause the video. And then here's the actual back. Okay. And here's the front of Smaug. It's the same as the cover here. And I'm going to guess this is probably the same as the Hobbit, just with the Smaug. Yeah, theatrical version, extended version 4K, theatrical Blu-ray, extended Blu-ray. Okay, so now what I would say about Smaug earlier is that out of all the movies, while I'd recommend the extended versions for all of them, I would actually recommend Smaug for theatrical. So if you're going to watch all the movies, I would skip the extended version of Smaug. I feel like the Desolation of Smaug, it has less reason for its existence when it comes to its extended version. There's really nothing in that besides Thorin's father. Everything else is effectively just extra filler just because we need an extended because the other ones do, you know? So that's what I would say. Okay, moving on to Battle of Five Armies. As we can see, here is the back of it. I'll get that right away so you can read it. If you like it, cool. Here is the front, which I actually like this one too. I know Battle of Five Armies was, I always kind of considered it the weakest of the Hobbit films, but upon rewatching, I do think that the extended version is a lot better. The theatrical version is trash in my opinion, so definitely skip that one. There is the front. Looks pretty. Here is the back. Yep. There's the stem. Sweet. Okay, now let's get this open. Now this is probably going to be very similar to the last ones, as you can probably guess. So here is the Battle of Five Armies theatrical. Make sure to throw that one away. Just kidding. And we have the extended edition. And then here is the theatrical Blu-ray and the extended Blu-ray. Okay, next. Now, we're getting to the real stuff. We're getting into the good stuff, you could say. Here is the back of the Fellowship. Sure to focus there. There's the back of the Fellowship cover. This looks nice. I really like this. Whenever I think of the Hobbits, even though this was like an elven thing, I think of like this charm. I always liked it. There's the cover. Looks nice. Okay. There's the back. As I said many times in this video, feel free to pause if you want to read anything. Okay, then we're going to open this bad boy up. Okay. Oops. Oh, uh-oh. There they go again. So what do we have here? This one is the theatrical version. 4K theatrical. Right here we have the part 1 of the extended. And then we have part 2 of the extended. And then we have the Blu-ray theatrical. And then we have part 1 and part 2 of the extended Blu-ray. Looks nice. Okay, next we have the Two Towers. Here's the back of the Two Towers. If you want to look at it. There you go. And here's the front. That one's pretty cool. I don't think it's as good as like the small guy or the you know, elvish leaf. It looks pretty cool though. I do like the shine to it. You probably can't see it on the video, but there's a really nice shine to this one. There's the cover. And there is the back. Oh, and then we got the spine too. So there is our theatrical 4K. There's part 1 of our extended, part 2 of our extended, theatrical Blu-ray, and then the 2 extended Blu-rays. Okay, now we get to last, but certainly not least. We have Return of the King. Let's get this bad boy out of there. And that looks great. Look at that. Wow. I really love that cover. And I think like the epicness of Return of the King is captured in this cover, honestly. It actually reminds me of like the like Revenge of the Sith poster, like the one that came with the 4K here. Like that looks just like so great. Like it perfectly captures the movie. I think this is a really good job too. You know, it's the finale, so it has to be more hardcore and stuff. Looks great. All right, there that is. Okay, we'll take it off. Here's the back of the case itself. Okay, here is the front. Looks awesome. Man, this is great. Of course, we have our theatrical 4K. We have our extended 4K, part 1, extended part 2, theatrical, and then both Blu-rays right there. Looks great. Okay, so now this, I'm not actually quite sure what's in this. Let's check it out. So, looks like it's got the key. Thorn's key. There's the spine of that. And then, if you know how to read Elvish, well, be my guest. And that's just the same as the other side. Okay, and it actually opens up. Let's see what's inside. Okay. Put that aside over here. Okay, so we're looking at this. So right here we have the Lord of the Rings, the special features. Okay, sweet. So they did actually put the special features on the Blu-ray. So I wonder, I heard people complain about this, that there wasn't any special features. I'm going to guess, with all of the amount of special features that came with like both Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, this is a Blu-ray, but I don't think they probably didn't put everything on here. That's probably what people are mad about. There's probably a lot of stuff, but not everything. So it looks cool. You know, you got the Fellowship. You got some of the best characters in the entire franchise right here. Awesome. Looks great. Oh, actually, I just realized on the back of this, there are actually the bonus features. So if you want to read that, anything, you know, sparks your fancy, there you go. Okay, so it looks like we might have like postcards here, something like that. They're like maybe just like collectible little card things. I don't know exactly what this is, but we have this one. They come in like a little sleeve, so we'll see what this is. So this is the Unexpected Journey one. You got like a Shire, pretty cool. Looks nice. But that, oh, actually, it's got some on the back too. Look at that. It's cool. I like that. Looks nice. This here. Next one we do Lake Town. So like they're like location cards, like cool art. I really like that. I actually like to get like posters of these, if anything. There we go. Looks cool. Side, put this one up here. Now this one is the Battle of Five Armies with Erebor. That looks pretty cool. There's the back. That looks great. And we have nice Anduin. I always liked those statues. They're always so cool. Isildur and his father. Pretty cool. Very cool. Very nice. I got another one. Rohan, which is the main set piece of Two Towers, which makes sense why they'd put that on here. Looks cool. I like it. Another shot. Looks great. Looks great. And of course, we got to get Minas Tirith in this. No way you can't have Minas Tirith. Come on, let's be honest. There's a card for more stuff. And then of course, Rivendell, which is just for everything. Looks awesome. I'd argue that Rivendell is probably the most magical area, which makes sense. You know, it's like the elves' main hub, so that's cool. I like that. Really cool stuff. So far, I'm not mad about this at all. I remember hearing stuff about this collection was going to be really bad. Now, like I said, this was initially, I think, 220 bucks they were selling it for. If it's not 220, like maybe like 180 to 220, which is a lot of money for a collector's edition. But I mean, they know Tolkien fans are going to pay it, so it's just like, hey, you know, it's business. That's the way it is. Okay, so if you look at this, this is interesting. This is The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings, a collection of costume sketches, photography, and production notes. So this is cool. So this actually has a little extra information about like the costume and stuff. I'm not going to cover everything in this book, but yeah, look at this, like concept arts and stuff. And you can see like what they had in mind, the idea of Bilbo. This is dope. This is really cool. There's Thorn. Sweet. So I'm not going to go through all this because this is a long book, but yeah, I like that. Looks good. So there you go, guys. That is the most recent Lord of the Rings collection. If you're looking to upgrade to 4K or whatever, this is the best you can get right now. It is awesome. I understand there are some cons with it, but if you can get it for a good deal, I think it is definitely worth the value. Okay, now with these out of the way, let me slide this back here. I actually might just move these back into their places. I'm gonna need a lot of room to make sure I can fit this into the shot. Okay, here we go. Ooh, this is a big boy. This is heavy. Okay, so we got to the big boy. I actually have a full unboxing video on this too. I'll leave a link to that down in the description below if you want to really go full in depth with this. I'm not going to cover everything. So like I said, down in the description, if you're interested, definitely go check it out. So with that said, as you can see, these are actually like real glued on books. This is hardwood. You hear that? This is actually legit. I'd argue that this is probably the most luxurious Lord of the Rings set you can get. So with that said, let's begin. So we're going to start with An Unexpected Journey, The Hobbit. So if you look at the cover here, like I said, it's actually like leather books, which looks awesome. That just looks so cool. I love this so much. This actually sits on my shelf. I haven't even taken the discs out yet. They just look so cool. This sits on my shelf just chilling. And there's The Unexpected Journey. There's the first page. So this is the extended edition movie. Another page, just some extra art. Looks cool. Like I said, if you want to check anything out, make sure just to pause the video. And then here are special features. And like I said, this is just a Blu-ray edition. This actually isn't a 4K edition, but you could actually take out your Blu-rays and just replace them with the 4Ks if you wanted. Here's the extended edition too. I guess this is what would you call this one? The Chronicles. Okay, so this is more appendice stuff. So this isn't the actual movie, but you know, just extra bonus features and stuff. Which, you know, if you're a Tolkien fan, you love the movies. You know, we love our bonus features. Okay, next page. There's the goblin with the scrotum beard. This page is a little stuck. Give me 1 second. I'm not trying to rip anything here. Ooh, I don't like that. Got some glue on it, I guess, from the manufacturer. And there's another shot of Azog and his wolf mount, his mutant wolf mount, and of course more stuff, which is pretty cool. And there is the big special shot of the movie. So that looks awesome. Let's move on to Desolation of Smaug. Now, one thing you might notice about this collection is there is no theatrical version. So that means that this is the correct version, which is good. The only problem is, like I mentioned earlier, Desolation of Smaug is the one movie where I feel like the theatrical version is better than the extended version. For a lot of people are going to always pick extended, and that's fine. But it would have been nice to maybe have the theatrical version right here or something, right behind the extended. Could just be me, but it is what it is. Okay, now we're moving on here. Some more bonus features. Tariel, you know, she's an added character. She's not actually in the book, but I like her. I think she's a good addition. Like, there's not many great additions The Hobbit does, but I actually like Tariel. And there is more special edition stuff. And there he is. There's Smaug. And there's more stuff. And there's the more extended edition. And then there's the final shot of Bilbo being like, well, I just killed a lot of people. That's great. Okay, and then there is the back, which I really like the back of this one too. But like, I like Smaug. That is the Smaug dragon from the actual map, which is awesome. The attention to detail in this collection is just unrivaled, honestly. So, Battle of Five Armies. Looks awesome. Here is the first shot of Smaug. There's the extended edition with the disc there. Saruman before he was corrupted. All right. More bonus features. Okay. And there is our last one. And there's Bilbo returning home after an adventure. There's the back of it. I actually like that they added stuff to the back of these books too, because they really didn't have to do like this. But there's something about these back of these designs I just really like. Look great. Okay, now we're moving into the real trilogy. Let's do this. Fellowship of the Ring. Once again, we get the leaf, which I think is honestly, like I always say, perfect. This leaf is like so calm, so relaxing, but there's adventure with it, right? So I think it's perfectly able to kind of illustrate what the Fellowship's about. All right. There's the Shire. Extended part 1. And then there's extended part 2. Looks awesome. There's our Fellowship boys. Looks great, looks great. There is special features. There he is. Now there's the corrupted Saruman. There's the Mines of Moria with more bonus features right there. And then the rest of the behind the scenes and stuff there. And of course, the final shot. The place they want to go is the place they want to stay furthest away from. It's great. And there's the back, and it's the shot of in Moria, well before Moria, the Moria Elven door. Yeah, that's great. So here's the two towers. I think it works out that there's a horse on there because it focuses mostly on the Rohirrim, and of course Rohan are horse masters, so it's great. There's the Eye of Sauron. Shots of our boys. Part 1. Gandalf. Part 2. Frodo, Sam, Gollum. Alright, there's more behind the scenes. More behind the scenes. More behind the scenes. And more behind the scenes. Wow, there's a lot of behind the scenes with this one. Almost every page had a disc. Interesting. And then the last shot. That's a great shot. And the back has towers, which is fitting considering the name. Okay, and we get to the big boy, Return of the King. And of course, this is great. You got to put that tree on there. It looks amazing. Love that. All right, here's the first page. There's extended part 1. You know, what I was noticing too is, like, remember how I mentioned about how they use regular discs sometimes in like collector's edition? Well, not anymore. Look at that. That is a collector's version. That is not something you can get on random Blu-rays. So that's really cool. I really like that. And like I said, it's color coding. Like I said, Return of the King is blue, Two Towers was red, and then of course Fellowship was green. Looks awesome. Shot of the final battle. More bonus features. Looks awesome. And there's Frodo. And there is the back of the book. Of course, you got Minas Tirith on there. I really like that one. Let me get a quicker zoom up on this one. Look at that. Wow. That is honestly really cool. I love that. Okay, so those are the main books of this collection. This is like the journal that Bilbo writes, and then of course he then hands it down to Frodo, and then Frodo hands it down to Sam. This is their journal. It comes with a bunch of extra stuff. I'm actually not going to show everything here. There's a lot of stuff here. So if you want to check out this book itself, make sure to go to that video. I already went over every single page in this book. Like I said, video down below if you want to check that out. But yeah, awesome collection. Just so much extra stuff to look at. You got your bonus features. You got all your movies. The only thing you don't get out of this collection, like I mentioned, was the theatrical versions. But for a lot of Tolkien fans, for a lot of Lord of the Rings fans, they don't care. The theatrical versions don't even count. So there you go, guys. That was my Lord of the Rings collection, and now you can see I have a pretty bad Lord of the Rings addiction. So I'm hoping that the new Rings of Power is able to stand up to, especially the original trilogy, can at least be as good as The Hobbit, and maybe we can get something even better out of it. So yeah, that's it for now, guys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, turn notifications for more. If there's any other Blu-rays you can see in the background you want to see me do a review on or something like that, give my opinion on, let me know. Will you be picking any of these up? And if you could pick up one, if you were given one, if you could choose from any of the collections I just showed you, which one would you pick up? Would you pick up this bad boy? You get everything in this collection. The only thing you don't get are the 4Ks, which is fine for some people. Would you pick up the 4K collection? Would you pick up the 4K Super collection? You get less bonus features, but you get all the 4Ks. You get the nice whole setup. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.